Alright, today we're back in Dunedin, Florida, a very popular area to visit and live in the Tampa Bay area. But today we're going to focus on those 4 factors that I brought up last time: proximity to things you like, style of homes, size of the town, and the cost of living in the area. Here we go. I'm Sam, and thanks for coming by the Living in Tampa, Florida channel. Every single week right here we release videos about what it's like to live, work, play, and move to the Tampa, Florida area. If that's something you want to follow along with, don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell so you don't miss our next videos. I'm also a licensed realtor in the state of Florida, so if you have any real estate specific questions, I would love to help you. My phone number and email are right there on the screen. Bugs are getting me. It is Florida summer. It is hot and rainy. We get kind of these afternoon showers. I mean, a lot of the US gets that, but yesterday it rained for a few hours and it's like heavy thunderstorms. And my yard is so marshy. If you've watched previous videos, I've talked a little bit about how marshy my yard gets. If you missed the last video, I did kind of a Dunedin overview just to kind of talk about the area, some of the interesting things about the history of this town. So if you missed that video, it's linked up above. And I mean, you don't have to watch that one first. You can start with this one and go back if you want. The number one factor that I brought up in the last video was proximity to desired things. And for everyone, these are different things. So let's go through like a couple things that you might want to be close to. Number one being work. So the question comes up, in any area, do I have to commute into Tampa? Do I have to commute into St. Petersburg or Clearwater? Or can I work right there in Dunedin? If you're working from home, it's not really an issue. But if you need to commute to those other areas, Dunedin is actually a very central location, unless you have to go to like the east side of Tampa. So if you do have a job out there, the commute is pretty long, probably an hour-ish. But if you got to commute to like downtown, it's about 30 minutes. If you need to go into Clearwater, it's 10 minutes. If you need to go up to Palm Harbor, it's 10 minutes. If you need to go down to St. Pete, it's about 20-25 minutes. All that stuff is really accessible and really easy. Or if you need to get to the airport, maybe you travel a lot for work, or you need to be close to the airport for visiting your grandkids or all kinds of things like that, that is also about 30 minutes away. The airport is so conveniently located in the city. It's so central. When I lived in Colorado Springs, I would actually travel out of the Denver airport, and I traveled a lot in my last job. I'd go overseas about once a month for a week at a time. And that drive, hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes to the Denver airport, way on the outskirts of town, like not even in Denver, it's way out in the middle of nowhere. I think geographically it's one of the biggest airports in the world in terms of like the actual acres that it takes up. But the Tampa airport is very centrally located, right in between all of this population and in a very convenient location. There is all kinds of businesses in this area, and this is part of the Tampa metro area. This isn't gonna feel like outside of that area. It is very much a part of that area. Okay, the next thing, proximity wise, so we talked about proximity to work and those kind of things. Now let's talk about proximity to fun. So we know how far the airport is, about 30 minutes if you want to travel for fun, but also the beaches are really, really close. If you want to go to like the Dunedin Causeway, it's just 10 minutes away. You can get all the way out to the end of the causeway in about 12 minutes from like downtown Dunedin. And then out there is Honeymoon Island and Caudle Island, which you can like take ferries to. One of them you can drive to. Some of that beach right now is under construction. You can see in some of these drone shots that it's actually kind of closed off and they're doing all kinds of stuff. There's still part of that beach that's open and it's really nice. So for one person to go out there in a car, it's $4 to get like into that Honeymoon State Park. For a car full, I think it's $8 and something like that. It's pretty affordable in terms of like beach parking. But out on that beach, there is a little shop and stuff, but there's not like a bunch of dining or a bunch of shopping. So if you want to go have like a fun night at the beach where you're going to go, out to dinner and then maybe go have a drink, that's not really the beach for that. But out on that causeway, like I said in the last video, you can rent kayaks and stand-up paddle boards and that kind of thing. And you can easily get jet skis in the water and maybe small boats too. You might have to check into how that's regulated. That's different at each boat ramp and in each city that the boat ramp is located. Also, if you have a boat that you need to store at a marina, the marina in downtown Dunedin is right there in the middle of downtown. So it's very easy access to that. If you have a boat you're going to store. Also, not very far away, 20 minutes or so, is Clearwater Beach, and that is more the beach if you are wanting to like do the dinner and a drink kind of thing. And there's all kinds of like shopping right in that area. There's a little road that runs across Clearwater Beach. Clearwater Beach is actually its own town that's separate from Clearwater. And that so you drive across the causeway over the intercoastal water, and then you're in Clearwater Beach. And that area, that is its own town, has restaurants and shops and stuff like that. And it's very nice and pretty touristy. There's a lot of pretty beach there. I recommend trying to go in off hours, maybe during the week, or I don't know. I just don't like crowds at the beach. And just hanging out at the beach is fun for a little while, but my wife used to joke, everyone just goes out to the beach and hides from the sun, so what fun is it? She likes it a little more now that we have a toddler, but growing up here, that's kind of how she felt about it. In terms of the fun things to do in Tampa, whether that's Busch Gardens, a big amusement park, or the Lowry Park Zoo, or just going downtown to hang out and eat, or going to Ybor City or Seminole Heights to try some new interesting restaurants. All those things are about 30 minutes away from Dunedin. And I mean, the traffic's gonna be a little bad during normal commute times, but the traffic isn't really the kind of traffic that you would expect in a big metro. It's a lot slower. People that visit here say that Florida drivers are really bad. They're tailgate aggressively, they don't signal. I try to notice those things that I do now as people that visit tell me all the things that they notice about Florida drivers. I'm trying to make sure I am not the bad Florida driver that they're talking about. All right, and if you want to get all the way over to Orlando, on the other side of Tampa, you're going through the whole town of Tampa, you're going past Lakeland, and you're going up to Orlando, you want to go to a Magic game, or you want to go to Disney World. That's a little over 2 hours for that drive most of the time, and could get even crazier if you go at peak times, like Saturday morning or things like that. All right, the next factor to decide if the Dunedin area or any area is right for you is the style of homes. Even in the area, can you find the house that you would want? So Dunedin homes tend to be quite a bit older, and this boom kind of happened in the 50s and 60s. You've got a lot of these kind of craftsman style homes, but then a lot more of these rectangular, or what they call rambler style. And we'll kind of go through a bunch of those and see kind of what that's like. Here's the chapel I got married at right there. Okay, so I'm in Hammock Park. You see it right here on the map, kind of right in the middle of Dunedin. And one reason I focused on this neighborhood for this video is just because I consider living here, so I really like this neighborhood. I even like this style of house, even, this style's not for everybody. They're smaller, for a young family, or for a retiree that wants a fun neighborhood. This is a pretty cool area. All right, let's check out some of the houses. Overall, in my opinion, Dunedin feels a lot more like a beach town than it does like a big city. And it has a very interesting vibe, and I like that about it. But for a lot of people, I think it's gonna be a better place to visit than to live. I mean, and then as you get closer to the water, houses get nicer, they get more custom. You got more of the coastal kind of picturesque, beautiful homes that you expect in some areas like this. The next factor is size. Is Dunedin the right size town for you? And this is obviously a very personal thing. Dunedin is about 36,000 people, as you saw in the last video, but it's surrounded by all kinds of other towns. Clearwater, which is about almost 100,000, Palm Harbor to the north, which is about the same size as Dunedin. And then even as you just go east, you're into Tampa, you're into Oldmar and then into Tampa. And all of these areas really kind of run together. And keep in mind that this county, Pinellas County, is actually the most densely populated county in the state of Florida, which the population density doesn't compare to New York City or to any big city. This county is very densely populated, but what does that mean to you? It means access. It means that things are not that far away, even if they're in another town. And that's important to keep in mind, that the places that you live and the places that you visit, or the places that you have fun don't always have to be the same places. You know, we live in an area that we don't necessarily think people would come to have fun or to come to like visit, but we like living there because it's slower, because we have a lot of things within walking distance, and those decisions were particular to our needs right now. When it comes to access to things in Dunedin, keep in mind these small towns along the Gulf Coast are very particular about keeping big chains outside of the middle of town. They prefer these big chains to be out on the big state highway, US 19, you know, whether that's, you know, like the McDonald's and Chick-fil-A, even places like Walmart are often preferred to be further out of the main area. So this downtown in Dunedin, you have tons of local shops, tons of local restaurants, tons of local boutiques, and that's the way these towns like it. The local government is very intense about keeping those kind of things out. Sometimes they're a little too intense. Sometimes in the midst of that, they like keep all the food trucks out of areas and stuff like that. Not necessarily in Dunedin, more so in my town, which annoys me. But Dunedin is very local business friendly, and that is a unique feel in this area. All right, now cost is kind of our final factor in deciding when an area is right for you. And in Dunedin, it's gotten pretty expensive over the past couple years. When I just like pulled up the like MLS, which is where like realtors like search for homes, pretty much everything under $365,000 was less than 1,000 square feet. So that's a pretty small space for that kind of cost. And a lot of those were townhouses, villas, and condos. Not many single family homes in that mix of less than 365,000. So on that list, the first property that was 2,000 square feet or greater was a townhouse, and it was listed for $600,000. That is out of most people's budgets, especially for a small property like that. When it comes to single family homes, the first one on the list that was over 2,000 square feet, that was kind of the typical house that people are looking for. It was 2,100 square feet, and it needed to be completely updated. It's in a flood zone, like I'm not so negative about flood zones, but it's a very flood prone area as well. And it needed to be completely updated. It hadn't been updated since the 60s, it seemed like. Here's a couple pictures of the inside. $960,000 for this place. Dunedin is getting very expensive. It feels like not even Florida to me. It feels more like Denver or someplace like that, where these houses are just getting so expensive. All right, so there's Dunedin. And overall, I guess maybe for most people, it's a fun place to visit. It's a really cool place. It's a fun place to like fantasize about living. But for most people, it's too expensive. Houses are too old, too small to actually meet our needs. And that's okay, because you can still live really close and enjoy the amenities that Dunedin has to offer. Hey, I hope you found this information useful. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next videos. And again, please reach out with any real estate specific questions. My phone number and email are right there on the screen. Thanks for coming by.